What is up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Please excuse my mouth for being red. I just ate a snow cone. But today's video is all about my pit bike, my 2021 crf110. And I'm going to be talking about 10 crucial upgrades you need to make on yours when you get one. Today's video is sponsored by Tbolt USA. They sent me a lot of the parts that are on this bike, and they're super awesome company for all your pit bike needs. So huge shout out to those guys at Tbolt. So these 110s are super hot right now, especially these new Honda crf110s, because the new Hondas have this awesome aluminum frame, they're fuel injected, and they've got electric start. So I know that electric start on the pit bikes has been around for a while, but it's still a nice thing to have. Having the fuel injection on these bikes is super awesome. I love it. I've always wanted one, and now that I finally have one, they exceed every expectation that I've had. So yeah, let's get right into it. I have my built one right here. So this is pretty much built except for exhaust and a swing arm, which I don't really want either of those. So this is pretty much the farthest I'm going to take this build. And then I have this one, which is 100% bone stock, which I think would be really cool, so we can do some good comparisons between the two, and I can show you the differences between all the parts on these two bikes. So there's 10 things that I would say you need to get once you get one of these bikes. And starting off, I'm gonna say number one on the list is a set of wider bars. So these are the Pro Taper SE. There's two versions of these bars. You can get the crf50 bars or the ones that are made for the KLX and DRZ 110. These are made for the KLX and DRZ 110, so they're not as high of a rise. And the crf50 bars, they come up quite a bit higher, which I might switch to in the future. I'm not 100% sure, but this is a must. Number one, they're obviously way wider than the stock ones. You can see the stock ones are skinny and gross. And number two, these are a lot stronger than the stock ones. I've gone down a couple times and these are still almost 100% straight. They might even be 100% straight. And this one has been crashed a couple times as well, and the bars are all messed up. Super bent. Now number two on the list isn't as important as the rest of the stuff, but I'm gonna add it on number two since it's related to the handlebars. But getting yourself some full-size grips and a full-size throttle tube was a really, really good upgrade. Really a lot more comfortable than having the stock grips. My hand can just fit on it so much better. As if you come over here to the stock ones, they're so tiny. My hand takes up the whole entire thing, and it's just really hard to ride on it. So I got these Scott grips. They're like 10 bucks online. Super worth it just for any full-size bike. So now I can fit any full-size bike grips on my 110, and it is night and day difference. I love it a lot. All right, so number 3 and 4, I'm gonna group them together because they're both on the same part, and this is super important. I'm not sure if you can see, but inside there I have that Kinetic MX shift shaft brace. So what that does is basically makes it so when you fall, this shift shaft isn't gonna bend, because it is a pain when these bend. You have to take apart the whole motor, and it's really expensive and not a fun process. So this keeps it so that it won't bend. And then this is an aftermarket shift lever with a foldable tip. So if you do lay it down, it disperses that energy and doesn't bend anything up in here. Now for number 5, I have these full-size foot pegs. And these were a great upgrade because the stock foot pegs, as you can see, these have these little spikes that help you keep traction on the pegs. The stock ones do not, and they're really small, so it hurts your feet when you land, and it's hard to stay on them. And these things are not sharp at all, so they're just, you slide around quite a bit when you're on this thing. So I'd say that is another huge upgrade, and it's easy and it's cheap. I think the pegs are like 75 bucks. You just pull this pin out, put the new peg on, put this pin in, and you're done. Super easy. And overall, great upgrade. Now the next upgrade, if you're just really putting it around the neighborhood or hitting really, really light trails and you're not jumping it very hard at all or not riding it very hard at all, I guess you won't need it. But I like to jump mine, and I like to hit trails and take it to the track and stuff, so I'm gonna group 6 and 7 on the list together since they're part of the same thing. But number 6 is springs and dampening rods and heavier fork oil in the front. So I have the BBR dampening rods and springs, which actually raises the front end a couple inches and gives me more travel, and it's stiffer. And it adjusts the rebound and stuff for heavier riders or people who ride them harder, which is really cool. Huge difference, night and day. Felt like a completely different bike. And I don't want to say too much about it. Like I don't want to overhype it at all. But after I put the suspension on, it literally feels like a big bike. Like when I hit jumps and stuff, it's weird to say, and I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. It feels super good. Much better than stock. So for number 8 on our list, don't know if you guys can even see in there, but I have an aftermarket shock, which is longer than the stock one, so it raises the rear just enough to be even with the front, since the front got raised. And it's got rebound adjustment on the side, which is a super cool feature, a little dial you can spin right there. And it's way stiffer, so it makes it way better for jumps and all that kind of stuff, just like the front. So that's a really good upgrade to match with the front. Super happy with it. Like I said, night and day difference, 100% recommend. Number 9 on our list, which is a super important one, so if I was ranking them in what's most important, this would be very high on the list. But it's this BBR skid plate, aluminum skid plate. So stock, as you can see on this one, they do not come with a skid plate and leave all that exposed. So you can crack the case so easily on rocks since they sit so low in their stock. So with this, it protects it from rocks or anything else you might hit, and it makes a great flat spot for you to put the bike on the stand, because before it would have to balance on the exhaust pipe and the peg mount, and so it wouldn't really stay. But now it has a flat space and it works good and it looks great too. The money you spend on this is well worth it, because the money you would spend on cracking your case would be 10 times more, I can guarantee it. And number 10 on the list for the pit bike list thing, I guess, we got this light bar from Moto X Lighting. Super, super handy. I love this thing. We ride these at night more than I ever thought we were, and this thing comes in so clutch. It's super bright, super easy to install. Just have a little switch that hooks up to the battery, since this bike has electric start. Super bright. And we hit trails and stuff at night, and it lights it up more than enough. Super great product, super easy to install, like I said, easy to wire up. The stock one does not have it. I'm gonna throw this in just because I think it's also important, but get yourself an aftermarket bar pad. Usually one comes with the bars if you get aftermarket bars, but if you don't have aftermarket bars, these stock ones are trash. They're pretty tiny and flimsy, and if you hit it, you're gonna hurt your head or your face or whatever else you hit on it. So you might as well go and get yourself a nice one, nice thick one right here. I think the next upgrade I have on this is I want an aftermarket brake, because this one, just like the stock foot pegs, has that real soft kind of weird material that doesn't grip very well. So I want something that has little spikes like these. And I don't necessarily need an extended one. I kind of like having it right there, but I guess I could try an extended one and see how it is. And I'm not done building this bike yet. Like I said, I still want the brake pedal, and there's a couple little things that I want. Like I know there's this little kickstart cap that goes over this Kickstarter so I could take it off, and there's some nice dress up bolts and stuff like that for the motor. And I'm gonna take off the case on both sides and have it coated, and get some aftermarket black aluminum wheels. My plan is to do Nardo gray plastics with a snow camo wrap to match the Bronco, because I think that would be so sick. So that's my plan for that. And if you guys do have the suspension, so this is an aftermarket front brake cable, because it's longer because of the BBR suspension, because it raises it, so you need a longer brake cable. But if you guys have a brake cable and a light bar, definitely make a little stopper right here to hold the brake cable, because when you're hitting jumps and whoops and stuff and the suspension is compressing, this will come up and it'll sit over the light bar, and then when the wheel goes back down and it pulls on it, this will sit on top and pull the brake, and it'll lock up the front tire while you're riding. So that happened to me, and now my arm's all messed up and my leg. I'll put some pictures on the screen right here, but it was at like 40 miles an hour on the concrete, and it sucked. It hurt so bad. Took off all my skin. So that is definitely something you guys want to avoid if you can. I'm gonna be 3D printing some little parts for this that go right here, like one of those little cable ties, little rectangle ones. Should be pretty easy to design and print. And I'll just bolt it right here or something, or even drill 2 holes and just zip tie it right there, I guess. But anything to get it out of the way of this light bar, because that sucked. Yeah, that's probably gonna be it for this one. I just wanted to make a really quick pit bike video, just talking about the things that I would upgrade, because I thought it'd be interesting because of how hot the market is for these right now and how many of these people are building. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to share what I think is important on these bikes. I do really want like a pro circuit pipe for it, make it loud and sound good and look cool. But we ride a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of urban spots, so it's super nice having it quiet. And this doesn't even sound that bad, to be honest, and it doesn't look that bad either. So I'm not super upset with it, and I think I'll just leave it. But yeah, that'll be all. Peace out.